Hey, Storytellers, we're your hosts, Allie and Christy. We're here to tell you sometimes the journey sucks, but doesn't that make for the best stories? Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of a special storytelling episode featuring the live recording of our January open mic event at Fonville Press. Shout out to Fletcher and Jess over at Isaac's Imagery for helping us with the live stream. Part 2 features the origin stories written and read by Lucinda Bunn, Milton Siegel, myself, Christy Gustafson, and our featured storyteller of the night, Kuk Harrell. And now a message from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Distillery 98, home of Dune Laker, the spirit of the Panhandle. Check out their tasting room and production facility in the South Walton Commerce Park. Pour freely, toast generously, and always drink responsibly.
And now, back to our show. Let's jump back into this storytelling episode with Lucinda Bunn, who's first up to the mic.
Hello. First of all, I think I'm going to do really well because he let me touch his hair. I told him unfiltered, and I don't even drink. He's at the bar, and I'm very visual, and that's why I had to sit up here because I'd be so easily distracted, and lots of times I'd have to keep my eyes closed to really hear you guys, and I wanted to honor you with full presence. So I'm looking at the back of his head. I want to touch his hair. And I walked up to him, and I said, I was looking at the back of your head, and I wanted to touch your hair. He goes, go ahead. I went, oh, okay. It's just as good as I thought. He goes, you've got good hair, too. It takes one to know one. I said, I'm going to go have a smoke. I'll be back. So, a little bit about me. I'm 99. I look amazing, I know. You're welcome. Anybody that's concerned about numbers that are pure bullshit. And so also this, I'm a writer. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a lover of life. I'm a joy bringer. I'm a mermaid. I'm a good fucking friend. Starting with me first. Because otherwise, what's the point? And wait, there's more. I paint. I'm an artist. So here's the challenge I gave myself, because I crave, I don't know, the biggest challenge possible. I have over 60,000 words of my memoir, which if you don't know what that means, it's completed about. And so I thought, okay, I've never done a reading anywhere in front of anybody, except for a coffee shop in Tulsa where everybody confessed to being stoned, and I was like this shaken with what I read. And I thought, I know, I will take 60,000+ words in 2 weeks, freeze dry them down to less than 1,000 words in less than 5 minutes. But here's the coolest thing about that. I didn't do it alone. I invited the universe in, and I did it. So here you go. White People and Wonder Bread by me. It all began when I performed my first episiotomy on my mom when I was born with the silver spoon I had in my mouth. It was the dawning of the age of Aquarius, the birth of the flower child. Phones were attached to walls, not people. Kids played hopscotch and jumped rope on the sidewalks. Boys wooed girls with slick-back hair and transistor radios. Girls wooed back with blue eyeshadow, pointed bras, and bright red lips. Wonder Bread was a staple in every home and a mustard seed in mine for my burgeoning romance with food. To the world, we appeared to be the perfect family. 3 white and shiny children, a celebrity father with movie star good looks, a gorgeous mother who wore pearls, and a smile made up of 88 teeth. My mother, Phyllis, was raised like the corn in southern Illinois. She moved to the Big Apple to follow her career in journalism until she found her proper assignment as wife and homemaker to the family patriarch. She lived at the Barbizon Hotel for Women alongside others like Lauren Bacall. She was working for ABC Sports when the man of her dreams and future nightmares walked into her elevator. The rest is part of my history. My father, stage name Jimmy Blaine, was a beautiful man to listen to. His voice was our golden ticket. We were living large in Larchmont, New York, home to the likes of Joan Rivers. It's a small waterfront community, still today reminiscent of the age of the Great Gatsby. The Larchmont Yacht Club was our home away from home, measuring up to the grandness of the Kennedy compound. It sat on a point of the Long Island Sound. It was there that the sun, salt air, and being near the sea became staples of my well-being. I feel it. I can't wait to talk to you. My mother basked in the sun with her reflector while my siblings learned to sail, and I learned to hate to swim and to love a good greasy burger off the grill. That paired nicely with a drink made up of everything from the soda fountain together. They called it a suicide, a beverage I would come to know well. We presented well to the world, but I rarely felt safe in my home. The only nurture I recall came from the dogs, my father, or Emma, a woman of color paid to keep the house clean and the children loved. One night while working in Manhattan, in his late 20s, my father was mugged and left for dead in a stairwell. A fractured skull left him with 2 steel plates in his head, orders not to drink, and a life where grand mal seizures could come without warning. Add to that the violence that comes with a wounded brain, coupled with an upbringing at the iron hand of a German father, and you get a war zone in my family living room. I loved my father. He was my best friend. We had a standing date on Saturday mornings to watch Sylvester and Tweety Bird in his big red leather chair, the one with the cracks in it that sat next to the smelly pipes on the table. One day, my father was a no-show for our date. In his place came my mother and the family minister. Your father has gone away in an airplane, and he's not coming back, was their message to me. The truth was that the night before he went to bed, had a seizure, his heart stopped, and he died. He was 42 years old. And there I was, with a 7-year-old brain, trying to make sense of words that weren't true, that were spoken by a guy in a God Squad suit, and the woman I was supposed to trust with my life and future. The events of those 24 hours colored all of the 5 decades to follow. Who can I trust? God was a hard one. People in general, men even more so. Once my siblings were off to college, my mother made a wrong turn on the way to Fort Lauderdale, landing us in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I quickly acclimated, finding my vines on the family tree, which were disordered eating, blackout drinking, and an ass-kicking depressive illness. I swung one to another for a while and was able to let go of the alcoholism. Anorexia took a little bit longer. At times, and against my will, the depression tangles up around my neck, typically in the winter. Every bit of it was a blessing, giving me a compassion for me, for the lifetime of hard work I have put in to turn the generational tide of ill-being, and a knowing when someone's best sucks, it is due to unhealed parts in them. 2 years ago, once my 24-year marriage was put to rest and my 22-year-old kid was out of the nest, I brought myself back to my bliss, left the confines of landlocked status, and returned to the seaside on the emerald coast of the Gulf of Mexico. The sun and the sea and all of the creatures in and around it are part of my tribe. I hang out with Walter the pigeon on the beach. I say hi to the seagulls in the morning as they have their bad choir practice to see who can be the loudest. I've come home to that 7-year-old little girl who was always meant to live by the sea, and our new life together is just getting started.
Our next reader was Milton Siegel.
My name is Milton Siegel, and my origin story is based on or informed by my world travels. And so, besides my professional career, professionally I'm a negotiator. I negotiate with unions and do things like that. But I've had the blessing of being able to travel all around the world. The last time I took count, I've been in 35 countries. I've been in places like Jordan, where I've fed Syrian and Iraqi refugees. I've been in Haiti right after the earthquake. I've been in Uganda, lots and lots of places. I've been in South Africa. I've slept in the townships. And what happens to me, and whenever I come back from one of those trips or during those trips, I always, feel that I'm so incredibly blessed. And I always ask myself, why me? Why was it that I was born here in the United States, where I was born and had such a wonderful life? And why was I not born in Uganda or wherever it is around the world? So that's really the basis for my origin story tonight. So it's titled, There Is. There is. Human birth is about there is. There isn't human life, and then, in that first gasp for human air, perhaps out of astonishment, there is. There is human life. And so it was with me. I wasn't, and then I was. And that was the beginning of me, my apparent origin. I just was, and I was given a 100-year name, a name that may be etched on some weather-worn, forgotten stone one day. Was I placed in a particular circumstance, like a simple pawn playfully placed on a living, breathing human chessboard, perhaps celestially assigned? Or was my placement just random, some biological happenstance? But why me, and by whom? Why here and not there? Why this and not that? And why this consciousness I seem to experience? Or is what I am experiencing something other than consciousness? Pawns and kings and queens and rooks and crooks, and nearly everyone in their apparent consciousness questions why. Is this cosmic punishment? Is this divine reward? Or is this a celestial lesson untoward? There must be some answer before there is not. Before there is not a me. There is, then there is not. And in that short-lived moment between those existential dots, I seek to understand. We seek to understand before there is not. Or is there another there is? Thank you.
And now I am honored to bring up my Emerald Coast Storytellers co-founder, Christy Gustafson.
How's it going, everybody? We found out this year that we are having a girl. I'm wearing spandex like up to here. But yeah, this story, with origin stories, I kind of thought about the one that's growing inside me, which is so wild to even think about. But this is kind of based on one of the doctor's appointments we had. It's called A Pair of Heartbeats. The static currents continued with her search, hollow and empty scratches. The volume cranked so we wouldn't miss it. The nurse's scrubs, a bright turquoise, reminded me of the ocean and distracted me with something better, something far away from this uncertain place. I wondered what my face looked like in that moment, a staring contest with the pale ceiling. My hands pressed against my chest, all hope draining from my face and into the exam chair beneath me, as each empty moment passed. This is normal, she reassured me. The baby is still so small, she's hard to find. She. We had learned the gender just moments before, and it hadn't truly hit me until now. We're having a girl. Holy shit, we're having a girl.
Somehow it felt realer to me than it had before, realer than when those two lines had first appeared through the tiny window on the blue and white stick some 13 weeks ago. Realer than when we shared the news with our friends, our family, that this pregnancy was the one to stick. Maybe even realer than the first time we had heard the heartbeat, back when it was merely an it, when my eyes filled to the corner with tears at the sound of this tiny life somewhere deep inside me. But I know that realness would slip just as easily through my fingertips if there was no longer a heartbeat to be found. You've got a stubborn one in there, the nurse tried to make light. This is very normal at this stage, she said, again, very normal. I nodded silent, trying my best to breathe, to let her words put my own heart at ease, though it was anything but. There's your heartbeat, she said, as the apparatus pressed deep into my lower abdomen. Thump, 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 thump. Your baby's will be a lot faster. You'll know when you hear it. I looked over at my husband, leaned over in the chair by the wall, typing away on his phone or perhaps pretending to. Was he nervous like I was? Or was he already calculating what to say if the nurse were to change her reassuring tone? Or was he calm like he always was? The only worry on his mind about which route he would take on his 11-hour drive for his work trip out west. I felt my eyes return to the white ceiling, a water stain turned brown in the corner. Please be in there, I heard a whisper inside. Please be in there. Am I hurting you? The nurse asked. Yes, I thought, though no was the answer that came. I heard my heartbeat again, too slow to be the baby's, but I imagined quicker than usual, my nerves getting the best of me. I tried to avoid eye contact with the clock, even the nurse herself. Then, with a slight movement and even more pressure into my gut, came the sound of a quicker one, seemingly out of nowhere. Thump, 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 thump. There, she said, as if it had been there all along. There she is. 147, normal, strong. I breathed a sigh of relief and watched as my husband's shoulders relaxed. There she is. The doctor came in moments later, scrubs pink like Pepto-Bismol, a reminder of all the morning sickness it takes most women to get to this moment, though thankfully I proved one of the lucky ones. The test came back good, she said. Low risk in all areas. Do you have any questions for me? We fired off a handful, but found at this stage we didn't have much, mainly just relief. All I could think about was the confirmation of this living, breathing thing moving and growing inside me, already playing tricks on the nurses, wanting to be left in peace, something I could most certainly relate to, like mother, like daughter. My daughter, the size of a lime today, a hacky sack, and according to one site, the amber topper of the old man's cane in Jurassic Park. Doesn't he get eaten in the end? Chewed up and spit out in this dog-eat-dog world? No, not spit out, swallowed whole. I think of our own dog-eat-dog world, the one my baby will soon enter in just a few short months, a world filled with things equally breathtaking and terrifying, though thankfully rogue resurrected dinosaurs are not one. Still, monsters of their own breed lurk in the shadows, out in the open, within people I, and now she, pass in the street. Along with a question, how do I begin to protect her from all this? How do I hold her close, keep her safe, and out of harm's treacherous reach? Then comes an answer, I suppose I can't. I suppose I can only prepare her, teach her to trust this strong beating thing within her own chest, to stay open when life only seems to close it, to guide her away from danger, towards the things she's meant to pursue. But how will I know if that's enough, if it will ever be enough, for this tiny racing heart to handle, for my own? Thank you.
Our final reader of the night was our featured storyteller, Kuk Harrell, and it was so just truly special to have him. He is a multiple Grammy Award winning music producer. He splits his time between Los Angeles and here at the beach. And his origin story was just so cool. He's just a man of faith and family man, and he's just done some incredible things. So let's jump into his intro now. And now for the man of the hour. Kuk Harrell is a 5-time Grammy Award winner and Golden Globe nominated musical storyteller, described as defining the role of the modern vocal producer. He has worked on music we've been singing along to for many years, with artists such as Rihanna, Beyonce, Cardi B, Camila Cabello, Cher, Celine Dion, Justin Bieber, Lorde, Mary J. Blige, Shakira, Sting, Katy Perry, and many others.
Harrell has been instrumental in the single releases for Anita, Cardi B, Kane Brown, and Normani, as well as Lil Nas X's album Montero, which was spotlighted by the New York Times. Kuk has learned with his many years of being in the studio environment with legendary artists that the studio experience is just as important as the creativity that happens within, giving him the wisdom and passion to create Paradise Sound in Los Angeles, California, where he not only does his magic with the legends, but he makes it available to a select clientele for their own resort-like creative environment. Without further ado, Kuk Harrell.
Thank you, everyone. How are you? Good, man. Thanks so much for all the stories everybody told tonight. Very amazing. It's always, and my wife and my daughters are going to trip out. I tell you now, I'm not going to cry. I'll hold on to it. But it's something that happens. So I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I grew up in a musical family. My mom and her two sisters were background singers for people like Aretha Franklin. They sang Carole King. They sang on radio and TV commercials. And me and my cousins, we grew up watching them. And we always knew that we wanted to do music. I was not educated. I mean, of course, I went to grade school, went to high school, hated school, was not that guy, but always knew that I wanted to do music. Fast forward, moved from Chicago to Los Angeles in 1992, right, Stevie? It was 92. Me and my cousins, it was our girlfriends at the time, but they're our wives now. It was like 13 of us. We all packed up 3 trucks and 6 cars to move to Los Angeles. By the time we got to Los Angeles, the deal that we had put in place had fallen apart. So we all got to LA with nothing there for us. At that point, we all had to just go into life mode. We had to make it happen. So at that point, my cousins left 4 years later, and Stevie and I, my wife, we stayed there in Los Angeles. And I was just determined to just do what it was felt like I was born to do, and that was to do music. So here in LA, me and Stevie, we really just cranked it out. We were doing music, and I never felt like something was going to happen. Like I would work on these records, and nothing would ever really happen. And I really got tired of it. And at the same time, I was feeling a life change coming. And with the life change, I didn't know what was going on. I grew up going to church, but really wasn't something that I was looking for. I came home one day, and we moved into this neighborhood in Burbank, and the guy that lived across the street he went to this church in Los Angeles, and he found out that I was a musician and songwriter. Invited me to his church. He's like, "Hey man, I heard that you were a music guy. Our church is really musical. You should come and just see it. That was the music was his draw to get me to come to his church. And I was going, "No, bro, I don't want to have anything to do with that. I'm good. So long story short, about 2 weeks later, he kept asking me, and I finally went. I went to this church, and I got there, and I'm sitting there looking at all these people, and I'm looking at, you guys go to church, just so I know that I'm not speaking foreign. So I'm sitting there watching all these people, and they're all in full-on worship, right? Hands are up, and I'm going, wow, what is this? Like, these people really believe this. They really believe what's going on here. And for me, it was God's time to enlighten me to a journey with him. And at that point, I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to check this out. I went home and told Stevie, like, Stevie, I really feel like something happened when I was in this service. I really felt like God was speaking to my heart and telling me that he really wanted to reveal himself to me. So long story short, I started going on this journey, and I really bought into it 100%. God said, I will take care of you every step of the way of your life. And I went, oh, okay. Because I've been trying to do this whole thing, do music all on my own, trying to be a great person all on my own, and it was not working. I was not getting the success in any area. So bought in 100%. obviously, when you start going that route, life changes, because I went, you know what? I don't want to do music anymore. I don't want to do music like this because I feel like I've done it the best I can and nothing's ever happened. So decided to do it, decided to go that route. We gave up music. And obviously, when you give up the thing that you do, things start to fall apart. So obviously, we lost our house. We lost our cars. We lost, the things that you need, right? But what we were doing, we gave 100%. God said that he's going to take care of us. He says he's going to take care of us. He says he's going to take care of us. And at that point, I started leading worship for the children at our church as a barter. The house owned houses on the block, and we didn't have any place to live, and because we lost our house. So when they found out, they were like, okay, we have houses on the block. You guys can live here, and in lieu of you guys living in the house, you lead worship for the kids on Sunday. And I went, okay, I can do that. I'm a musical person. So through that, I learned that was when God started revealing to me, you know what? I gifted you to do this first and foremost. And with this musical gift, I want you to use your musical gift to touch the lives of other people around the world. I just want you to be a blessing to all of these people. So fast forward, as I started doing that, God was really started revealing to me, I can do everything that you've desired to try to do on your own. And fast forward, I'm going to just go right into it. When you read what my bio is, like, it brings me to tears to think about. I went from trying to do it to creating a life of faith, and then letting God make me a 5-time Grammy Award winning, Golden Globe nominated so-and-so that gets to work with every single person in the industry who is influential, like huge artists. But those things are very, 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 very insignificant in comparison to, these guys are going to hate me, but come here. Come here. Yes. Get up here right now. Are you guys tracking with me so far? Okay. All right. So I want to say this. When we got married, Stevie and I both have sons, and we both had sons, and we were going, no, we're older. We don't want to have any more kids. We're good. And plus, Stevie had some medical things early on in life, and I remember her doctor saying she's not going to be able to have any more kids. So we were like, oh, okay, cool. Fast forward, God had another plan. This one first, that one second, and that one last. And we were like, what? What? What'd you say? What? Oh.
No, it's always like that.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's so crazy. But I just wanted to say, I hopefully I'm not boring you with my journey and all that. But listen, it's just amazing to see how God just transformed everything by me giving him and us giving him an opportunity to pour out blessings upon us and dare to tell his story, dare to live that type of life so that he could give us 3 miracles, and so that I can stand here and say, yeah, I work with Rihanna. Yeah, I work with Beyonce. Yeah, I work with this person. Yeah, I work with Sting. Yes, I work with Cher. I'm recording Cher in her bedroom. Like, it's the craziest thing, but this is my story. Like, when you guys asked me to do this, I was like, I don't know any stories. I can tell you where I came from, but I can also tell you this is my story. And our boys, these are our big stories. So there you go. God bless you guys.
Thank you for listening, Storytellers. Wherever you are on your journey and whatever brought you here, we encourage you to tell your story. Tell lots of stories. Now get out there and find your stage.
The Emerald Coast Storytellers podcast is produced in partnership with Sowell House. whose mission is to house creative culture by supporting the individuals who shape it.
Follow them on Instagram @SoWallHouse or visit their website, sowallhouse.com, to learn more.